This is The Shadow Gentleman, prologue, as well as chapters 1 and 2, written by Robin Aldenhauer. They say when the storm ends, you rebuild. Bury the wreckage, patch the damage, pretend the ground isn't still shifting beneath your feet. Harrison was dead, cremated with more secrets than I cared to count. He deserved more than smoke and silence, but fairness doesn't come with the uniform. I was still working through that. Rachel was still breathing, still fierce. She got out. I hadn't wanted her anywhere near it again. Minnesota was far enough away for her to heal, back with her family. She handed me the keys to his company like it was a gift, but what she gave me instead was a graveyard. A filing cabinet full of ghosts, a desk drawer heavy with names that he never buried. Then it was my turn. I'd build something from what he left behind. A team, a plan. A way to keep the shadow from crawling back. Smart people, loyal ones, a little unhinged, a little broken in the same place as I was. When we could take quiet jobs, work under the radar, do something that mattered when no one was watching. If the government ever came knocking, we'd answer. At least, it was the idea. The rest, I was still figuring out. With the syndicate gone, the world was quieter. The only one left standing was the one who helped us get in, Bianca. She vanished that night as quickly as she'd appeared. Wanted them gone as much as we did. Maybe more. There was a time I convinced myself that quiet meant safe. But the odd thing about buried secrets was they didn't always stay buried. Chapter 1, Harrison's Legacy. I stood at the threshold of Harrison Montgomery's office, keys in my hand dragged like lead, like they knew what lurked behind the door should have stayed hidden. Eli Mercer. That's me. And yes, I'm the one left to clean up the mess Harrison Montgomery left behind. And if you're wondering how it feels to step into his shoes, well, it feels like you're walking on glass. The stillness within the space, untouched since he left us, wrapped around me, and his cold embrace reminded me that the past didn't let go. As I opened the door, the hinges groaned like they resented being disturbed. Same, buddy. The room was a time capsule, steeped with traces of Harrison. The scent of his coffee clung to the air like a ghost that wouldn't let go. His mug still sat on the desk, bottom stained, caffeine-fueled strategies preserved in time. Piles of half-finished memos lay neglected like fallen soldiers, waiting for someone to finish the fight. His chair, worn leather still holding the impression of his form, like he might walk back at any moment and sink into it with a wry grin. A shiver ran through my fingers as I brushed the desk's edge. Its top polished from years of wear, years of debates fought with paper and pen, not bullets. My gaze fell on framed photos that portrayed us as ordinary men disguised as fishing buddies. Snapshots of laughter stolen between the storms that shaped everything we became. One caught my eye and I picked it up. A reflection frozen. A reminder of the bond we shared. The memory of his laughter mingled with the air. Nostalgia had never been a friend of mine, so I set it down. I pushed through the haze of what once was. I opened drawers in a logical sequence, each creak more ominous than the last, revealing the mundane. Stacks of post-its, a stapler, the type of debris cluttering the mind when too much was unsaid. At the final drawer, something resisted. A lock grinned at me, guarding its truth with too much pride. With the flick of my wrist, it clicked open and my pulse quickened. Inside, a secret compartment. Brilliant. Typical Harrison. The kind of spot built for things no one should have found. My heart pounded as I pulled out a leather-bound ledger and a series of encrypted drives. The weight of discovery tingling in my body. Flipping through the journal, Harrison's neat handwriting revealed a world I thought we left behind. References to operations we never discussed. A recurring mention of the syndicate danced before my eyes, twisting a knife in the belly of my grief. I pressed my fingers to the pages. The paper smooth, but the words harsh. Each stroke reminded me of the dangers we dared to confront and the evils lurking below the surface. A slight tremor in my hands drew my attention to the scar behind my ear. I rubbed it. It's an old habit born out of stress. The desk still hid a half-forgotten bottle of bourbon. I poured enough to keep my hands from shaking and told myself it was for clarity. That was the lie I liked best. But beneath the steady rhythm of adrenaline, of a quiet anger smoldered in my gut. They thought they could just silence us. That we were just getting started. I turned back to the desk. My eyes raced over the pages of the journal, trying to connect the dots he left behind. Each entry laid another stone on a path leading nowhere. The truth remained ahead, slinking away, mocking me. The ghosts of our past missions whispered their secrets, and I was grappling with what he wanted me to find. Somewhere in the disaster Harrison left behind was the thread to unravel it all. Whatever corruption he sniffed out but never got the chance to torch. I tightened my grip on the glass, the room closing in like it was waiting for a verdict. Grief was a luxury. I didn't have time for luxury. This wasn't about mourning a friend. It was about finishing what he started and burning a few bridges along the way. Harrison's desk was a war zone of scattered notes and half-coded files. Chaos, sure, but it followed a pattern, if you understood how Harrison's mind worked. I spread them out, each one a breadcrumb, names, dates, whispers of old ghosts, threads waiting for someone pissed off enough to pull them. The silence pressed in thick, suffocating. It waited, patient and heavy, like it wanted me to crack. I wouldn't. I couldn't. Not now. Each page I turned added another piece to the puzzle Harrison started but never completed. At first glance, a guy running a sleepy security outfit. But the margins told a different story. The writings pulsed with something darker. Names were circled, numbers didn't match, whispers of something hiding under the floorboards of normal. He saw it. Hell, he documented it. Of course he had. My heart beat faster as I followed his trail of scribbled connections, possible recruits. Not the kind that you find on resumes. The kind you find in black ops reports and abandoned war zones. People like me, broken and still capable. I went to straighten a crooked picture frame, and there it was, taped to the back, a flash drive. Not luck. It was a message. I took a deep breath and felt the old spark ignite. This wasn't a clue. It was a loaded weapon. Harrison left it for me. And as the drive locked in, I could swear he was here. Arms crossed, half grinning, as though he were judging my every keystroke, like he never left. The screen lit up. A password prompt appeared. Of course. My fingers hovered. He never made anything easy. Hell, half of our mission started with him handing me a riddle and saying, "Figure it out on the plane." After a few guesses, one landed. The monitor blinked. Access was granted. I exhaled like I'd been holding my breath for a year. But the files were a mess of encrypted data and coded trails. I mean, a pattern was there if I could sort it out. I sifted through corruption and phantom identities behind blacked-out contracts. Syndicate fingerprints smeared all over military dossiers. It's too much crossover for coincidence. Still, I didn't want to believe it. I mean, it was right there in black and white. Harrison didn't suspect something, he recognized it. But now I did too, which meant I didn't get to walk away. Dawn cracked the edges of the window. Gray light smeared across the wreckage I made of Harrison's office. I sat back, shoulders stiff, eyes burning. The pile of folders and notes started to make sense. Less chaos, more blueprint. Chapter 2. Decision. I dragged out an old op brief. Edges curled, paper scarred. Flipped it over, started jotting. Shooter. Tech. Wheels. Med. Roles first, name second. The kind you don't say out loud unless you meant it. Half of them probably hated me, but all of them knew how to bleed without screaming. This never belonged to me, but someone had to carry it. I raked my eyes across the table. Maps, companies, timestamps. Each one dared me to let it go. I didn't. I couldn't. "You weren't done, were you, old man?" I muttered, fingers drumming the corkboard. "Yeah, well, neither am I." The sun crawled higher, turning dust motes into gold. I pinned Harrison's card up like it meant something. Well, not nostalgia, not grief, but a reminder. The fight wasn't over, just had a new name on the file. I stepped back, taking in the room that I'd turned into a mission plan. Not much on the surface, notes and code, but it was enough. a blueprint for revenge, resurrection, redemption, if I squinted hard enough and lied to myself a little. Packing up the office turned into a burial, only this corpse kept clawing its way back. Each file I shoved into the duffel was a piece of Harrison's legacy and a promise that I'd never asked to inherit. The room grew still, not peaceful, just empty, like it was already morning the last time it would see us. I didn't move, not right away. I stood there staring at his damn chair like it might fill itself. It didn't. I killed the lights, locked the door. The metal clinked shut like a period at the end of a sentence no one wanted to write. I walked away, the bag on my shoulder. The past didn't bother asking permission to come along. I stopped in front of Harrison's old sedan, still parked like it was waiting for orders. Nondescript, faded paint, one hubcap missing, radio antenna bent at the tip. The kind of thing he'd want. Quiet little witness to every stakeout, every sleepless night spent plotting 3 steps ahead of disaster. I popped the trunk. There it was. His go bag, burner phone, stash of cash folded with military precision, poised for an emergency he wouldn't answer. My chest tightened. That was his life. It was mine by default. I slid into the driver's seat, half expecting him to materialize on the passenger side. Snark, locked and loaded. Careful, Mercer. You sit in my seat too long, you're going to grow a conscience. I smirked. Too late. No need for the GPS. I've driven this route so many times. My truck leads the way without me. The safe house was muscle memory. Back roads, shadowy corners, every flickering street lamp a reminder that ghosts don't stay buried. The apartment above the laundromat still stood, bland, unremarkable. Perfect. Harrison set it up, secure, quiet, and invisible. What I needed, even if what was boiling under the surface was anything but calm. I went inside, every nerve on alert. Old habit, threats first, ghosts after. Once I knew neither lingered, I claimed the space, photos, notes, red string when I'm in the mood to make a statement. A well-sized crime scene in the making. Harrison's foundation, my upgrade. Each entry in Harrison's old Rolodex listed a role: operative, hacker, medic, wheelman. Under each, a name I hadn't called in years. People with skills proficient enough to draw blood and baggage heavy enough to sink a battleship. My kind of crew. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, of course. The message read, "Heard about Harrison. Got work. Thought you could use something steady. Briggs." Not a friend. Not an enemy. Just vague enough to be both. I stared at the screen, gut twisting. It could have been a job. It could have been a leash. My finger hovered. The old instincts nudged caution. Newer ones said, "Screw it." I responded. Short, direct. A time and a place. To see what kind of strings were attached. Then I caught my reflection in the window. Jaw tight, eyes tired. A man pulled from mourning and thrown into a war he hadn't started but damn well intended to finish. And for a fleeting second, the glass showed me hollowed out. Grief, caffeine in a suit. Still standing, still dangerous. But the man staring back wasn't cleanup anymore. He was the one hauling the bodies to the top. The weight on my shoulders, it wasn't a burden, but a job description. And outside, the city exhaled like it didn't know what was coming. I squared my shoulders, let the silence settle like armor. I rolled my neck until it popped. The fight didn't end when Harrison died. It started.